If you think that maybe that they're contravening their charitable status, why don't you just simply complain to the Charity Commission?
Well, that has actually started to happen because you used the word campaign in the beginning, and this is quite an interesting thing because I'm not actually running a campaign. I'm not orchestrating people. I give talks and presentations, and I did one last night, in fact, and when I give a presentation, I always show documentary evidence as what Common Purpose is doing.
Yeah, that's not quite so easy to do on the radio, so maybe
Absolutely.
now might be a good time if you can tell us where that is on the internet, if people are interested.
If you go to my website, which is www.cpexposed.com, you can call up areas of the country, or you can call up organisations such as the police, NHS, and you can see the documents that we're referring to yourself. They are genuine documents freely posted on the internet.
And there's also, I think it's probably also a good juncture to give the website of the Common Purpose website, which is the address of that, which is Common Purpose, just one word, www.commonpurpose.org.uk. So you can have a look at both sides of the argument by having a look at Brian's site, cpexposed.com, and the Common Purpose website, which is commonpurpose.org.uk. Anyway, what about real evidence of wrongdoing? Have you got any of that, Brian? I mean, a lot of this seems to be a little bit vague and circumstantial rather than specific evidence.
Well, of course, it's absolutely not, because I've just pointed you at a website where you can look at the real documentation yourself. But an area that we are particularly interested in at the moment is that where members of the public have written perfectly reasonable, polite and lawful freedom of information requests to local authorities or public bodies asking how much they have spent on Common Purpose, Common Purpose, in several cases, has been talking to their own members in those organisations, trying to block the information coming out. And this has resulted in several cases, and we have the documents concerning these cases, this has resulted in breaches of the Data Protection Act.
But don't you think that it's possible that maybe that they're flagging up to those people that there are legal reasons why they shouldn't release that information?
Well, of course, they always try to do that because Common Purpose, which is a wonderful leadership charity, is also always very secretive, and very often, or usually on their documentation, they will put a confidentiality notice. Now, I believe that one of the key questions is that if this is a simple educational charity, why are public bodies so secretive about revealing how much they've spent on it? Surely, if Common Purpose was totally innocent and I sent a Freedom of Information request to a local council, they would be delighted to tell me that they had spent £100,000 on Common Purpose. They would boast about it because Common Purpose would be giving good value for money. But we find the exact opposite happens, that when you ask how much money is being spent on Common Purpose, and certainly if you ask to know which individuals in the organisation has been trained, the organisation immediately clams up, and we have documentation which shows collusion between Common Purpose and other organisations in producing that wall of silence.
Now, at the crux of this, or at least one of the things which is at the crux of this, is the courses that Common Purpose run. I mean, they've given us in the statement quite a positive outcome of the course, the idea being that it enables people to network in these various public sector organisations. And in a way, what we hear is that there's not enough of these public sector organisations talking to each other. It's like the left hand doesn't know what the right hand is doing. And surely Common Purpose is actually positive in that it's making sure the left hand does know what the right hand's doing.
Well, I would disagree totally, because what Common Purpose is actually doing is networking organisations together under the radar, so that Common Purpose is working on policy with its Common Purpose graduates in particular organisations, whilst the mainstream part of that organisation has no idea what they're doing. And the other worrying thing is that Common Purpose's own documentation is saying that in the future, Common Purpose's networks of graduates will soon be very important. Now, typically, common purpose doesn't define why they will become so important, but we got a big clue the other day, is that if we look at organisations which are linked to common purpose, and we have two of particular interest to us at the moment. One is IDEA and the other one is the Local Government Association. We are being told by local councillors that they have been told on an IDEA course that in the near future elected councillors won't exist. Now, this is a very interesting statement because what
Sorry,
it is...
who is IDEA? Many people may have heard of the Local Government Association, but what does IDEA stand for?
I'm going to have to admit that I cannot remember the...
Is it some sort of local government type organisation, or is it central government?
It's another quango which is working alongside local government, which is supposedly improving the leadership qualities of people inside local councils and authorities.
Well, I think that may come as a big surprise to our elected councillors.
It came as a very big surprise to the councillor who spoke to me, because when I said to him, does that mean that we're moving towards a post-democratic era, he said, I think so. Now, this is one of the things that I believe common purpose needs to be challenged on, because when you look at the roots of common purpose, and the chief executive, Julia Middleton herself, has come out of the what I will call the political network, and at the moment we see constantly that common purpose is working at very high level, connected with everything to do with the European Union, and we have a wealth of documents showing common purpose closely connected with, previously Tony Blair, but with the new Labour administration. They're taking people across to see how the European Union and the Commission works. And for those courses, people were paying in the order of about £9,000.
But surely there's a very good reason for that, and that's because the European Union, many people see that may be the future, and it's important that the leaders of tomorrow understand it.
So you are telling me that common purpose people are to be the leaders of tomorrow? Because this is one of the things we're very interested in, is what we're seeing here. Leaders being selected, and I use that word because that is how it works, in order to run a new system of government.
Well, surely common purpose are not actually selecting tomorrow's leaders. What they're doing is they're looking at people who may be potential leaders. And
who is they?
Well, common purpose.
Yes, but who?
I would imagine the charitable organisations themselves.
I've put you in a difficult position, but this is the key question, because common purpose is doing things, but the public doesn't know who they are. So I'll make it simple for you. In every city, common purpose has set up an advisory board. The wiser public do not know the members on the board, but those people select who will be taken for common purpose training. That is highly selective, it's highly elitist, and the insidious thing is it's being done out of the public eye with public money. So I ask you a question: who sits on the common purpose advisory board in Bristol? Do you know?
But they have to select somebody, don't they? If they're a leadership charity.
What gives common purpose their legitimacy?
Well, their charitable status.
If you read Julia Middleton's book, Beyond Authority, she talks about useful idiots. The book talks about using people in the community as useful idiots. It talks about bulldozing over people who challenge common purpose. So whilst common purpose stands up and says we encourage people to come forward and become leaders and become empowered, when we in the community ask common purpose to show to the public what it's really doing, they refuse to come on radio shows or TV shows. They refuse to come and talk to us about what they're really doing. Meanwhile, they are funded by public money, and the average member of the public has no idea of the vast sums of money going to this organisation. It's iniquitous.